now we have talked about the budget, defining a budget. We have talked about setting those financial goals and how we should set those goals. And the next thing would be how do I prepare now the budget? And the first step I said, you should have an objective. You should have a goal that you want to plan for. Once you have that in place, you determine how much do I have at my disposal. And here I'm talking about salaries. Do I have bonus? Do I have business income? Do I have even a grant? If it's perhaps there is some grant you have received either even from your parents, and this one should apply. Don't assume that you don't have an income. Wewe uko na pesa. There is some income. Be it you are in school, you are in business, you are employed. You find there is something that you get at the end of the day. So that one you are able to add it. And then you see, this is what I have. This is what, and I will be talking about a simple budget making process that is so easy for all of us. And I'm saying you have set the goal or the financial goal that you want to achieve. Second, you tabulate, unakusanya all your sources of income. Then, once you have your income, you are able also to you're able to categorize your expenditure. And this expenditure, hayo matumizi, they can be categorized into broadly into 2 or even 4, because we can have like the ones that are fixed. These are things like rent. You know, rent does not change. When we talk of a fixed expenditure, we talk of zile vitu ambazo they don't change. You say that then they must be incurred. If you are in a business, perhaps that internet you are paying on monthly basis, that's a fixed expenditure. That regardless of you, either you're in business or not, you have to incur that. Another fixed expenditure is like vitu kama rent. Rent inakuwa fixed expenditure. Then so once you have that in place, like you are able to categorize your expenditures, be it hizo fixed, variable ni zile ambazo huwa zinabadilika from time to time. Let's say like water or the utilities. Today you could have consumed 1 unit, perhaps in another month you consumed 2 units. And when I'm talking of this process is applicable kwa mtu mwenye ako kwa biashara, kwa mtu mwenye ako in employment, na pia kwa mtu mwenye ako shule. So you find this one is like the globally accepted way of coming up with that budget. So you find once you have edited your incomes, then you have categorized your expenditure, then you're able to pick which one goes first. And this is an area that most people make a mistake by saying, like, let me first of all, if I'm in employment, I want first of all to receive the money, so that I want to do some savings. But sometimes haikuangi nzuri. So generally, let me do this. Let me have like the first one. I talk the process. Let's say for business people, business person. Then I talk about someone who is employed. Then I'll talk about someone who is at school. Now when it comes to you setting up a budget for business, one, as I said, you must understand the goals of the business you are having, be it the organization or the business you are doing. So ukishamaliza hiyo, the next thing you do is like you identify like your sources of income. So you are able to read the key activities for the business, and then once you are able to note all those income line items, then you accumulate all of them. Then you're able to review the expenses of the business. So you're able to categorize them into 2. One is the fixed cost. These fixed costs these are costs that will be incurred no matter what. And some of those costs are like rent, let's say annual subscription fees. You see those costs that are not guided on your production. And also, you're also able to understand like even the cost of sales of that business. Those are the key costs that you're able to understand as an individual or even as a person. Then the other ones is the variable costs that are involved with that business. Then once you're able to align those two expenses, you're able to see whether you either have a surplus budget or a deficit budget. So now we're done with the business budgeting route, or like how you're able to budget for a business, be it a small business or even are you an entrepreneur, all that. So here we are going to look at you who is employed. I still have something for you, yeah? And I'm going to use a simple rule whereby, and I want us to change. Initially it is usually referred as 50 20 30 rule, but for me I want to start with 20 50 30 rule. And this is how you are going to share your incomes. The 20%, where I'm starting with 20%, you are going, once you have determined that this is your total income you earn as an employed person, and that is you have income from either the salary, bonus, from side hustles and everything. So here we are going to divide them into 20, 50, 30. This 20%, I want us, and actually even to enhance your accountability, you can start with 20%, whereby you are allocated to savings and investment. And mark you, this 20% eventually is going to earn you, because I know it will take a day and then try and break down on this concept of savings and but how you plan for the 20% will determine how you will be after 10 years or even 10 years to come. So you find this 20% goes to investments and savings, but you can always adjust, you can always increase it to 30% based on your key financial goal that you want to achieve. Then we are going to talk about the 50%. The 50%, actually you should always work on reducing it, so that even if it reaches to 40%, then this 10% unaipeleka kwa investments and savings, better for you. This 50% you are going to allocate it to your needs. And when I talk of needs, I'm talking of things you cannot do without you, like rent, transport, everything. So they should allocate the 50%, and then the remaining 30%, that's when you can allocate it to your wants. And your wants are things that you cannot do, you can do without. Because here we're talking about entertainment, hii ni pesa ya sherehe, but don't start the other way around. Always plan as an employed person, always start with savings, if even possible for you, even to make sure that you have standing orders to your account, because the moment that money comes to your hand, it becomes very hard for you to plan for it. But the moment that is like imenyongewa pale ama imekatwa pale kwa mita, it becomes very easy for you even to achieve that goal of savings. So my good people, and if you are employed, still it is equally important for you actually to come up with a budget. Then the next one I'm going to do for student. Najua mnajiuliza manze, mimi sina income, nitabudgetia nini? Tunauliza, where is this income coming from? No, I want you to be intentional even how you are going to categorize this thing. And you see, you have kuna ile pesa unapewa na mzazi, that's an income to you, because if you are talking of like the monthly upkeep money that you get, be intentional with that money. So that money that you are getting from kutoka kwa mzazi, that's an income. Pengine kuna tu job, kuna tu gig, mwa mnachapa weekend, pengine za online, still there is that amount you are getting. It's still very crucial for you to recognize it as an income. Then pengine kuna tip unapewa, pengine umepiga brother yako mwambia kumekauka nirushie kakitu. So it's still source of income for you. So once you recognize that, kuna zile expenses. I'm going back to like what we have done for the self-employed. There are those expenses. You have to pay rent, you have to pay your phone bills, you categorize them. Then you see which are these expenses ambazo lazima nizifanye, lazima nizilipie, na kuna zingine ambazo si lazima nikae nazo. So even as you settle those bills, you start with zile ambazo ni mandatory, unaenda ukienda rest zile zenye ziko mandatory. Because as I had stated earlier, like if you don't have that discipline from the start, it will become very hard for you even to grow or even to achieve that financial freedom that is most sought after. Because as I said earlier, you are a student, you have those financial goals. Perhaps you want to buy a laptop, and I know in our later episodes we are going to talk about like how we are going to finance some of those programs, but as a student, there is that goal you want to achieve. Perhaps you want to buy perhaps podcast equipment. So you find there is that objective, that there's that goal that you want to achieve. And if you don't start from even what you are earning today, it will be very hard even when you are entrusted more. So you find it's better that we look into that angle, that whatever we are earning is an income, be it either passive or non-passive, but having that idea. Because whenever you have money, and that money has not been haijapewa jina yoyote, that money has a danger of becoming anything. Like ikiitwa rent inaitika, ikiitwa airtime inaitika, and you never even evaluate yourself. Because many times if we don't call these we don't budget for these items we are talking about, many times ukisikia perhaps rush imefika, when you hapo very fast uko hapo unachangia. But these things, I'm not saying that giving is bad, but can you give objectively? Can you give and then you become accountable to yourself, so that at the end of the year you unasema okay, this year in terms of giving I've given to a tune of 100,000. That's when you realize I'm rich. But you can never know if you don't document all these things. And there are so many ways of actually even achieving this. Na you don't need to be that mwalimu hesabu mulikuwa marafiki. No, you can start from where you are, and then you work your journey toward achieving that financial independence.